The book of Numbers might sound a little intimidating, but stick with me. It's not just a list of names and numbers, it's a fascinating story of faith, struggle, and divine guidance. Imagine being part of a massive group of people, all moving together through a harsh, unforgiving desert. The sun beats down, the path is uncertain, and yet, there's a promise of something better ahead. That's the journey of the Israelites, and it's a journey that mirrors our own lives in many ways. It's like a roadmap, showing us the Israelites' journey from slavery in Egypt to the edge of the Promised Land. This journey wasn't just a physical one, it was deeply spiritual. Each step they took was a step of faith, a step towards a promise that seemed almost impossible. They had to trust in something greater than themselves, just as we often have to do in our own lives. This book is nestled in the Old Testament, right after Exodus, and it's full of adventure, challenges, and most importantly, God's faithfulness. The stories within Numbers are not just historical accounts, they are lessons, reminders of how God interacts with his people. They show us that even in the midst of chaos and uncertainty, there is a divine plan at work. Numbers gets its name from the census or counting of the Israelites. This wasn't just a bureaucratic exercise, it was a way for God to show his people that each one of them mattered. Every individual was counted, every family was recognized. It was a powerful reminder that in God's eyes, no one is insignificant. God wanted to know exactly who was with him on this journey. He wanted his people to know that they were seen, that they were valued. This is a message that resonates with us today. In a world where it's easy to feel lost in the crowd, the book of Numbers reminds us that we are known and loved by God. He always knows our name, our needs, and he cares about every detail of our lives. This intimate knowledge is not just about keeping track, it's about relationship. God is deeply invested in our lives, and he wants us to trust him with our journey, just as the Israelites had to trust him with theirs. This book isn't just ancient history, it's a living testament to God's enduring presence and his unwavering commitment to his people. The challenges faced by the Israelites are not so different from the ones we face today. They dealt with fear, doubt, and the temptation to give up. But through it all, they had a guide, a divine presence that never left them. It's a powerful message for us today. In our own lives we encounter deserts, times of hardship, confusion, and waiting. The book of Numbers teaches us that these deserts are not the end of the story. They are part of the journey, a necessary passage that leads us to the fulfillment of God's promises. The Israelites faced challenges just like we do. They had to deal with scarcity, conflict, and the constant pressure of moving forward. But these challenges were also opportunities for growth and transformation. Each obstacle they encountered was a chance to deepen their faith and reliance on God. They made mistakes just like we do. They doubted, they complained, and sometimes they even rebelled. But their story shows us that failure is not the end. God's grace is always available, and he is always ready to guide us back to the right path. But through it all, God never gave up on them. His patience and love were unwavering. He provided for their needs, gave them direction, and reminded them of his promises. This is a powerful reminder for us that no matter how many times we stumble, God's love for us remains constant, and he'll never give up on us. This assurance is a cornerstone of our faith. Knowing that we are never abandoned, that we are always cared for, gives us the strength to keep moving forward, even when the path is difficult. Their journey reminds us that life is a process. It's not about reaching the destination as quickly as possible, but about what we learn and how we grow along the way. Each step, each challenge is an integral part of our spiritual development. We all go through deserts, times of testing and uncertainty. These periods can be tough, but they are also times when we can experience profound growth and transformation. They strip away the superficial and bring us face to face with what truly matters. But the good news is, we don't have to go through them alone. Just as God was with the Israelites, guiding and providing for them, he is with us. We have a community of faith to support us, and we have the assurance of God's presence every step of the way. God is with us every step of the way, just like he was with the Israelites. His guidance is not always about removing obstacles, but about giving us the strength and wisdom to overcome them. He walks with us, offering his support and encouragement. He's got a plan, and he's going to get you to where you need to be. Trust in his timing, trust in his process, and know that every step you take is leading you closer to the fulfillment of his promises. The journey may be long and challenging, but with God by your side, you will reach your promised land. Imagine being freed from slavery, ready to step into a land flowing with milk and honey. The anticipation is palpable. the excitement almost tangible. You can almost taste the sweetness of freedom, the promise of a new beginning. The Israelites, after years of bondage in Egypt, were finally on the brink of this new chapter. They had witnessed miracles, experienced divine intervention, and now, they were on the cusp of entering the promised land. You're excited, hopeful, ready for a fresh start. The journey ahead seems like a grand adventure filled with endless possibilities. The horizon is bright and the future looks promising. Every step forward is a step away from the past, from the chains that once held you down. The Israelites felt this surge of hope, this newfound freedom, as they embarked on their journey. That's where the Israelites were, but then they hit a snag. The path that seemed so clear suddenly became fraught with obstacles. The journey that started with so much promise began to feel like an endless trek through a barren wasteland. The excitement started to wane, replaced by uncertainty and doubt. The Israelites found themselves in a place they hadn't anticipated, the wilderness. Instead of a straight shot to the promised land, they found themselves wandering in the wilderness for 40 years. 40 long years of uncertainty, of questioning, of wondering if they would ever reach their destination. The wilderness was vast, uncharted, and unforgiving. It was a place of testing, of trials, and of transformation. The Israelites had to navigate this harsh terrain, not knowing when or if they would reach the promised land. Why? Well, sometimes detours are part of God's plan. These unexpected turns, these seemingly endless delays are not without purpose. They are designed to teach us, to mold us, to prepare us for what lies ahead. The Israelites' detour in the wilderness was not a mistake. It was a divine strategy. It was a time for them to learn dependence on God, to develop resilience, and to grow in faith. He uses those detours to refine us, to grow our faith, and to prepare us for the blessings He has in store. The wilderness is not just a place of wandering, it's a place of becoming. It's where we shed our old selves and embrace the new. It's where we learn to trust, to hope, and to persevere. The Israelites' time in the wilderness was a period of profound transformation, a necessary step in their journey to the promised land. The wilderness represents those tough times in our lives, the seasons of waiting, the unexpected challenges. It's the place where our faith is tested, where our patience is stretched, and where our character is forged. It's not an easy place to be, but it's a place of growth. The Israelites faced numerous challenges in the wilderness, from scarcity of resources to internal conflicts, but each challenge was an opportunity for growth. It's easy to get discouraged, to question God's plan, even to complain a little. We've all been there. The Israelites certainly did. They grumbled, they doubted, they even longed to return to Egypt at times. But through it all, God was with them, guiding them, providing for them, and teaching them valuable lessons. The wilderness was a place of testing, but it was also a place of divine presence and provision. But the wilderness isn't meant to break us. It's designed to shape us. It's in the wilderness that we discover our true strength, our resilience, and our capacity for faith. The Israelites emerged from the wilderness as a transformed people, ready to enter the promised land. They were no longer the same people who had left Egypt. They were stronger, wiser, and more dependent on God. Think of it like this. A sculptor takes a rough stone and chisels away at it, bit by bit. Each strike of the chisel, each removal of stone is a step towards revealing the masterpiece within. The process is deliberate, intentional, and sometimes painful, but it's necessary to transform the rough stone into a work of art. The wilderness is God's chisel, shaping us into the people He created us to be. It's a process, and it might not always be comfortable, but in the end, it reveals a beautiful masterpiece. The Israelites' journey through the wilderness was a process of transformation, of becoming the people God intended them to be. It was a journey of faith, of trust, and of perseverance. And in the end, it led them to the promised land, a place of fulfillment and blessing. The wilderness is God's chisel, shaping us into the people He created us to be. It's a place of transformation, of growth, and of preparation. So, when you find yourself in the wilderness, remember that it's not the end of the journey. It's a crucial part of the process, a necessary step towards becoming the masterpiece God has envisioned. Embrace the wilderness, for it is there that you will be shaped, refined, and prepared for the blessings that lie ahead. The Israelites faced many tests during their wilderness journey. Each step they took was a step into the unknown, a step that required faith and trust. They had left behind the familiar, even if it was the harsh reality of slavery, and ventured into a vast, uncharted desert. The journey was not just a physical one, but a deeply spiritual one as well. It was a journey that would test their resolve, their faith, and their trust in God. One of the biggest challenges they faced was their struggle with trust and obedience. Imagine being in their shoes, surrounded by endless sand and rock, with no clear direction or end in sight. The uncertainty was overwhelming. They had to rely on a promise, a divine assurance that they would be taken care of. But human nature is such that doubt often creeps in when the path is unclear. Despite their doubts, God provided for them miraculously with manna from heaven and water from a rock. These miracles were not just acts of provision but also powerful reminders of God's presence and care. Every morning, as they gathered the manna, they were reminded that they were not alone, that their needs were known and met by a loving God. The water from the rock was a lifeline in the arid desert, a symbol of God's ability to bring life and sustenance even in the most barren places. Yet, despite these miraculous provisions, they still grumbled, complained, and doubted God's goodness. It's easy to judge them for their lack of faith, but how often do we do the same? When faced with challenges, it's human nature to focus on the immediate discomfort, rather than the bigger picture. The Israelites' complaints were a reflection of their fear and uncertainty, emotions that we can all relate to. They let their fear and negativity overshadow God's faithfulness. Sound familiar? In our own lives, we often let our fears and doubts cloud our perception of God's promises. We focus on the obstacles rather than the opportunities, the problems rather than the possibilities. The Israelites' journey is a mirror of our own spiritual journey, filled with moments of doubt and fear. We all face moments when it's easier to focus on the problem than on God's power. It's in these moments that our faith is truly tested. Will we trust in God's provision and guidance, or will we succumb to fear and doubt? The Israelites' story is a powerful reminder that faith is not the absence of doubt but the courage to trust in the midst of it. We let worry and doubt creep in instead of choosing to trust Him. Their disobedience had consequences. The Israelites' lack of trust led to setbacks and detours. They wandered in the wilderness for 40 years, a journey that could have been much shorter if they had trusted and obeyed. Their story is a cautionary tale about the cost of disobedience and the importance of faith. They faced setbacks, detours, and even wandered in the wilderness longer than they had to. But even in their disobedience, God remained faithful. He continued to guide them, provide for them, and lead them towards the promised land. This is a testament to God's unwavering love and commitment to His people. But even when they messed up, God never gave up on them. His patience and mercy were evident in every step of their journey. He understood their fears and doubts and met them with grace and compassion. This is the nature of God's love: persistent, patient, and always ready to forgive. He always offered forgiveness and a chance to get back on track. No matter how many times they stumbled, God was there to lift them up and set them on the right path. This is a powerful reminder that no matter how far we stray, God's love is always there to guide us back. That's the amazing thing about God's love. It's unconditional. It doesn't depend on our perfection or our ability to always get it right. God's love is steadfast and unchanging, a constant source of hope and strength in our lives. He doesn't love us because we're perfect. He loves us in spite of our imperfections. This is a profound truth that can transform our lives. Knowing that we are loved unconditionally gives us the courage to face our fears, the strength to overcome our doubts, and the faith to trust in God's plan. He's always there to pick us up when we fall, dust us off, and set us back on the right path. This is the essence of God's grace. A love that never gives up, a love that always believes in us, and a love that is always ready to guide us back to the right path. So as we face our own wilderness journeys, let us remember the lessons of the Israelites and choose to trust in God's unfailing love and faithfulness. Despite the Israelites grumbling and doubting, God never abandoned them. He stayed faithful, even when they weren't. He provided for them, protected them, and guided them through every twist and turn of their journey. Think about the pillar of cloud by day, and the pillar of fire by night. It was a visible reminder of God's presence, leading them, comforting them, and showing them the way forward. God is still faithful today, even when we don't see the whole picture. He's working behind the scenes, arranging things in our favor even when we can't see it. Just like He parted the Red Sea for the Israelites, He still parts waters for us today. He makes a way where there seems to be no way. Our job is to keep our eyes on Him, to trust His timing, and to keep moving forward in faith.